All right, welcome. In this explainer, we're going to talk about a really powerful tool that can help landowners, just like you, take a piece of property you can't build on and turn it into something truly valuable. If you feel like you've been stuck waiting forever, this is for you.
Does this whole situation sound a little too familiar? You've got this piece of land, maybe it's got a great view, it's the perfect spot, but you can't do a thing with it. Why? Because there are no roads, no water lines, no power. You're basically stuck in this frustrating limbo, unable to build your dream home or even just realize the real value of your investment.
And, to make things even worse, you might be dealing with a local government that's, well, less than helpful. This quote here is from a real landowner, and wow, does it capture that feeling. It's that feeling of running smack into a political brick wall when all you're trying to do is improve your own property. It's incredibly frustrating.
But what if you could just go around that brick wall? What if there was a way for you to take control, to build the infrastructure you need yourself, without having to ask the town for permission or a single penny of their money? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. It's called an Infrastructure Financing District, or an IFD for short. So what is it? Simply put, it's a special district that's created by landowners, for landowners, to finance and build public infrastructure. And here's the most important part. It puts the power right back where it belongs, in your hands.
Now take a look at this, because this is where it gets really interesting. This chart compares an IFD to another tool you might have heard of, a PID. And the differences are huge. With an IFD, you go to the county for approval, completely bypassing that difficult city or town council. You, the landowners, are in direct control through your own board. And because of that, it's way faster and a whole lot less political. This is exactly why the financial pros often prefer this route.
Okay, so bypassing the city and being in control sounds fantastic, right? But how does this actually work? Let's get into the nitty-gritty and answer the biggest questions that are probably on your mind right now.
First question, and it's the big one, the money. Building roads, laying water and sewer lines, that costs millions of dollars. How on earth does a group of individual property owners pull together that kind of cash without completely emptying their savings? The answer is something called municipal bonds. The IFD itself, this district you create, sells bonds to investors, and that raises all the money you need for the entire project, right up front. Think of it like a loan, where the collateral isn't what your land is worth today, but what it will be worth once all that shiny new infrastructure is in place.
And what's really amazing is what these bonds cover. It's literally everything. The construction, the engineers, the lawyers, the financial advisors, even the cost of setting up the district in the first place. Heck, if you've already paid for some engineering work, you can often get that money back. And here it is, the absolute game changer. There are no upfront costs for you, the landowner. Zero.
Okay, so the money's there, but who's calling the shots? Who's in charge of the budget, hiring contractors, and making sure everything gets done right? Because the last thing you want is to just trade one group of politicians for another, right?
The answer couldn't be simpler. You are. You and your neighbors, the landowners who actually join the district. You form your own governing board. You are in the driver's seat, making every single decision for your own project. Now let's be realistic. In any subdivision, you're going to have folks with different ideas. Getting everyone to agree on something this big is, well, it's pretty much impossible. So what happens when you have a few neighbors who say, "No thanks, I don't want in"?
Well, the law that created IFDs has this really clever solution. You can literally just draw the district's boundaries around the lots of people who don't want to participate. You create these little islands that are left out. What that means is you only need 100% agreement from the people who actually choose to be inside the district. The project moves forward with everyone who's on board.
So we know where the money comes from, these bonds. But how much are we talking about here? How do investors decide how big of a check they're willing to write for a project like this? The financial experts who do this for a living have a pretty solid rule of thumb. The total amount of the bond can be up to 3 times the current appraised value of all the land inside the district. So let's make that real. If all the lots inside your proposed district are currently worth, say, $5 million combined, you could potentially raise up to $15 million to build everything you need. That is how you turn raw land into prime real estate.
Now, this all sounds really promising, but I'm sure you're thinking, this has got to take years, right? A decade of meetings and paperwork? Actually, no, not at all. Let's look at a typical timeline and see just how fast this can move.
Believe it or not, from that very first phone call with the experts to having the funds sitting in the bank, the whole process can take about 6 months.
That first month is the big one. It's the go/go-go moment where the financial pros tell you if the numbers work. Once you get the green light, it's just a clear, structured process. You gather petitions, get county approval, sell the bonds, and then it's time to start building.
So let's bring this all home. We've talked about the what and the how, but let's really focus on the why. What does all of this actually mean for you, the person who's been stuck with this unbuildable land for years?
When you boil it all down, an IFD is a strategic tool designed to put you back in the driver's seat. You get to bypass local politics, you unlock the true value of your property without spending a dime up front, you and your neighbors make all the decisions. And this isn't some weird loophole, it's a proven, state-approved process designed for this exact situation.
So we'll just leave you with this one final question to think about. If you're tired of waiting around for somebody else to solve your problem, could an infrastructure financing district be the key that finally unlocks your property's future? Thanks so much for joining us.